Hello everyone, what is up? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be playing some Gen 8 Scalemons. So Scalemons is one of the OMs of the month. I think it's the leader choice, but don't pin me on that. And basically we are just going to see if we can have some fun playing in this tier by using a Sun team. So the Sun team, not really the best of teams, but I figured it might be fun to actually try out a Sun team because I see a lot of people running a lot of combinations that I don't really like. So I figured, hey, why don't I try something that I haven't seen yet? And I definitely have not seen a Sun team being used in this tier just yet. So my opponent leads with the Pelipper. I'm going to lead with the Nasty Plot since he stays in. He's going to swap into Dreadnought or Shelter, probably one of the two, or the Jolteon, and then Volt Switch right away back into Pelipper. It's not like he's making... The Nasty Plot is mainly to force him to go back into Pelipper instead of trying the hard brute force the Ninetales, because optimally he won't really be able to do much against the Ninetales at this point. Goes into his Jolteon as predicted. Now I think Jolteon is scale Jolteon. Yeah, Jolteon is ridiculously fast. So the thing is, going for Solar Beam here is a bad idea because the Pelipper would just make it take 2 turns instead. So I'm just gonna click the Flamethrower here, heal Volt Switch on the Ninetales back into Pelipper. And then at least the Pelipper is going to take the damage from the Flamethrower. Even though it's not that much, it's going to be some damage. And I actually get lucky with the burn here, so I suppose that's cool. I suppose it's nice that I got lucky with the burn, whatever. So going back into my Torkoal, obviously, Torkoal going to take that Scald reasonably well. And I'm going to try and set up Stealth Rocks again, because he is staying in with the Pelipper. The thing is, I'm guessing the Pelipper is going to go for the Defog again. That's what I would do. And now his Pelipper is kind of stuck in a bad situation because it's dealing with the Heliolisk with the Choice Spec Solar Power. The Jolteon might come in, but that's why we are clicking Hyper Voice and not anything else. And that's the Jolteon taken care of. Because Jolteon really can't live much, let alone a Hyper Voice. He goes for the Ghastly, and I think Ghastly is one of those Pokemon with a ridiculous BST now. Well, with ridiculous stats now because of its base special attack. 203 and 162 speed. Yeah, you can tell these mons were not meant to be used like this. So he goes back into his Pelipper, interestingly enough. Not really sure I get the point because Zacian does get the wild charge move, which it tends to run even in Ubers. Now it goes back into the Shelter. Also quite interesting because I assume Shelter has a very high defensive stat. Yeah, very high defensive stat. I think Shelter gets Shell Smash. It does. So the question is, do I go into Torkoal and try to brute force this, or do I wild charge with the Zacian? I figured wild charge can't hurt me too much, so he shell smashes, and at least I'm ensuring that he cannot go for a second shell smash at this point because he dies if he does. So that was the logic there. So going into my Torkoal, once again get the Sun back up, and now if he tries to brute force with another shell smash, he dies. So that's a good part. So he's at +2 speed off of 82 base speed, and I think that means Cherubi should be faster now. But I'm feeling more confident with my Ivysaur, so I'm just going to go into the Ivysaur here. The Ivysaur obviously is just going to click the Solar Beam here. And since it outspeeds the Shelter, that's fine. So Shelter is down for the count, and my Ivysaur is going strong. He goes into Frostmoth, which is interesting because even if this thing, even if it gets double defenses, this thing is 4 times weak to fire. I'm not quite sure what he was expecting there. I'm not sure if he thought he would live that or not. But yeah, that was the first fight of Scalemons in this gen. So one thing that I'm considering is maybe the Zacian isn't really the best Pokemon because it's kind of slow for this meta. I would rather have... I would rather go with something like Ditto. Just in case I have to outspeed something that I'm not already outspeeding with my Chlorophyll users. I feel like Ditto could be very valuable in matchups where I am being outsped because of setup. Because I feel like that's a big weakness. The team relies a lot on native speed, especially on the Heliolisk, the Ivysaur, and the Cherubi, obviously. Even after Chlorophyll, they're not actually that ridiculously fast. So I kind of want to have a failsafe just in case that a Pokemon like that Shelder might have tried to set up Shell Smash a second time. I could have messed up there. I could have tried to go for the growth, thinking that I'd live. I don't know. I wasn't going to, but I'm just saying, in the idea that I messed up somewhere, it's probably better to have some type of failsafe in the Ditto. Now, the ladder for Scalemons is obviously a bit painfully dead, so it's taken quite a while to actually get a game. But that's okay. I'll go over the team in the meantime. We have the Torkoal. Obvious Sunsetter is obvious. I mean, there's not much to say about Torkoal. It's a Sunsetter, and that's kind of all it does. The draw ability, Heat Rock, Lava Plume, Yawn, Rapid Spin, and Stealth Rock. The Yawn, obviously. Oh, there we go. Oh, I already fought this guy. Once. That's cool. I already know that this guy's whole schmuck is going to be the annoying thing, the Crawdaunt lead, probably. So I'm just gonna lead with okay, that's kind of boring. Then we're gonna lead with the Ninetales because it can deal with the Crawdaunt and the Ferroseed at the same time. The Vulpix would probably come in with the Flash Fire, and then I would have my Ditto ready to counter that, but apparently he doesn't want to go into that, so whatever. So we have the Torkoal, standard Sunset, honestly. We have the Cherubi, which actually gets a pretty nice BST boost, as you can see here. Okay, apparently we're back in a battle. Okay, so we're in a battle. This is Diclet Alola. Very important to note. And judging by his team, the Shuckle really is the only thing that I have to worry about. So we're just going to lead with the Torkoal here. We're just going to instantly yawn the Shuckle because screw Shuckle. It can just go to sleep. So it's going to stay in. It sets up the Stealth Rocks. That's fine. We're first going to Rapid Spin. Not sure what he's going to go into. Okay, he doesn't go into anything. So that means we get the speed boost of the Rapid Spin. And now the Shuckle falls asleep and we get our Stealth Rocks up. As long as the Shuckle stays asleep for like one more turn, we basically won already. Okay, it stayed asleep. We can click the growth. We have 3 turns of Sun to work with here. And we have a growth up. So we're just going to click the Solar Beam now. Now that's probably not going to kill yet because Shuckle is incredibly bulky. Even in this, it's incredibly bulky. So seeing as he's most likely going to go... Oh, great. Yay. It's a Protect set. I hate Protect sets. Doesn't really matter though. Goes into Shedinja, which did not have the heavy duty boots. So either he doesn't have hazard clearing and he just decided that this isn't worth it. I don't know. It's kind of a weird choice there. I don't know what he thinks the Shelder is going to do, but Shelder just dies to the Sludge Bomb. It's definitely Pawniard or Diglett Alola that's going to have to make the play here. Now, the Diglett Alola, it's probably max speed. So in that sense, there's not much point in me doing anything else. I'm just going to go back into the Torkoal here. Torkoal going to take the Earthquake. I'm not sure if it dies. This thing actually went for Home Claws first, so now Torkoal definitely dies. But that does bring in an interesting weakness of his team, because now I can just go back into Cherubi, which does get the Chlorophyll bonus, and I can just spam. How does that outspeed? What? Oh, right. I'm dumb. Is that thing really that? Oh my god. Okay, yeah, I see. That explains a lot. Anyways, this is exactly the situation that I wanted the Ditto for, because obviously it's just going to swap into the Ghastly now. Although I'm not entirely sure if Iron Head would kill at this point. I actually have more HP than he does too. That just kills. That is so sad. That is so sad. Anyways, so that is exactly like what I wanted to Ditto for. So I'm no expert here, but the Ghastly only has 162 speed, so I should outspeed it. Yep. So that's the Ghastly down for the count. And that's the battle won, and that marks 10 minutes. So I suppose this is where we'll Well, we'll see. If I can find the game in like within a second, that's cool. Anyways, so the Cherubi, also a standard chlorophyll set. The pollen puff is really just, I don't know, coverage, I guess. Not really that relevant. We find a game against someone with a very weird team. I just have to check the Woobat here. Scale Woobat. Let's see. Not really seeing why you would ever use Woobat over Swoobat, seeing as Swoobat has more HP. Except for maybe the 6-point drop, but I feel like that evens out. But the speed is good, so kind of weird to see a Woobat instead, but whatever. Alright, so this is probably going to be a Calm Mind Stored Power set, judging by its stats here, which is why I'm going to be clicking the Yawn right away instead of going for the Stealth Rocks first. Goes for the Air Slash right away, flinches me. That's cool. Alright, so we managed to get, we got it to be drowsy, so either it's gonna swap or it's gonna stay in and kill Torkoal, that's fine. I don't really mind it dying. I'm just trying to think, do I want to go for my Heliolisk here? Just Volt Switch out? Or do I want to do anything else with one of my two other Pokemon? Because if it stays asleep, then I can get the growth off. But if it doesn't, that would be pretty bad. Huh. Yeah, I feel like Ivysaur is the better play. If he does wake up turn 1, that would be very unfortunate. But I do have the Focus Sash. Okay, so it stayed asleep. That's great. Now we click Sludge Bomb, and that should just kill. Yep, there we go. So yeah, Ivysaur. I love Ivysaur in this meta just because it's the perfect mix between Venusaur's bulk and Bulbasaur's higher offenses. It's like a perfect in-between stage where it has the best of both worlds. Because as you can see, you have Bulbasaur, you have Ivysaur, and you have Venusaur. And there we go. Now you can see it. And you just have this perfect mix between their stats that nicely evens out. So we have the Mimikyu coming in, which is interesting. Mimikyu obviously is one of the perfect Pokemon to stall out something like Sun because of how it naturally has that disguise ability. Not sure if Sneak kills here. It might. I'm not sure. It doesn't. Bye, Mimikyu. So Mimikyu dies, and that means he's gonna have to sack another Pokemon to this Ivysaur. And then Ivysaur can die because I still have the Cherubi and the Heliolisk and the Ditto, just in case he does have that setup. And my opponent disconnects, because of course he does. Well, I feel like this is kind of where I'm gonna leave it off. I had 3 good battles, I think. Kind of showed off what the tier is about, how a Sun team works in the team. So I'm kind of happy with this result. I hope you guys like this. I'm going to be covering Inheritance later once the OM actually works, because right now it doesn't work. The validator is kind of broken. It'll take the wrong set, and that's very bad for Inheritance since it's basically unplayable because of that. But yeah, I will be covering Inheritance once it comes live, once it works properly. And until then, this was Darth. Thank you guys for watching.